Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really fascinating deep dive on a super specific, highly impactful astrological placement, Mercury in the sixth house. The source material outlines some honestly incredible hidden legal and administrative minefields here, and we're going to unpack exactly what they are and, more importantly, how you can navigate them. Now, I want you to imagine this for a second. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon, you're rushing to head out for the weekend, and you quickly fire off an email to a client or a contractor. You don't double-check it, it's just a quick message, right? Well, what if I told you that a single, tiny email error, like a misplaced comma, a vague phrase, or just a simple typo, could completely ruin your week, or even your year? There's this deep dramatic irony in how the absolute smallest, most seemingly insignificant admin tasks can trigger massive, formal consequences. Okay, let's dive into this. Mercury in the sixth house is an astrological placement that essentially predicts heightened vulnerabilities when it comes to legal issues, communication errors, and documentation themes. This is the core of what we're unpacking today. This placement takes your standard, everyday, kind of boring admin tasks and turns them into a totally high-stakes environment. Basically, it means the universe is putting a massive magnifying glass right over your paperwork, your emails, and your agreements. You really can't just coast through the fine print here. So let's get right into our first theme, when communication breaks down. There's something almost a little ominous about this, right? We're talking about how completely invisible things, our words, our quick messages, those passing comments, can actually manifest into very real physical trouble. Our source text gives a really explicit warning on this front. It states, miscommunication can trigger unnecessary disputes or formal issues. And notice the word trigger there? Casual miscommunications are quite literally the very first domino to fall. You thought you were just having a casual chat, but the other person heard a binding commitment. That simple misalignment, that is exactly how an unnecessary dispute is born. It's the genesis of the whole formal issue. And this brilliantly illustrates the dual nature of the trap we're dealing with. With verbal agreements, the risk is future misunderstandings, mainly because, let's face it, human memory is inherently flawed. But if you rely entirely on email and written messages, you risk creating complications. A tiny email error or just a poorly phrased sentence suddenly turns into a permanent, searchable record of confusion. So both our spoken promises and our digital messages harbor their own really unique hidden traps. Which brings us to a rather frightening equation derived straight from our source. Communication gaps equal legal notices. It is so vital to connect these dots. When you leave a gap in your communication, when something is left unsaid, just assumed or poorly articulated, that empty space instantly gets filled with legal interpretations. The direct causation between a casual gap in a conversation and the terrifying arrival of a formal legal notice in your mailbox is exactly what this Mercury placement is warning us against. All right, let's escalate the tension a bit and transition into theme 2, the devil in the documents. We're moving away from the fleeting nature of the spoken word and entering the heavy, totally unforgiving realm of physical paperwork. Words evaporate, right? But documents sit in filing cabinets just waiting to be scrutinized. The burden of proof shifts and the stakes get significantly higher. Just reflect on your own habits for a second. When you're handed a contract, do you actually read every single line, or do you kind of just hunt for the signature box? The source emphasizes in absolutely no uncertain terms that contracts require extra attention to wording and details. The devil truly is in the wording. Under this astrological influence, a standard boilerplate contract is absolutely no longer standard. It is a minefield that requires your absolute, undivided attention. Because if you don't give it that attention, you trigger cascading paperwork risks. It starts with small documentation mistakes, maybe just a wrong date. Then, incorrect filing. You accidentally drop it in the wrong folder. Suddenly, you've got missing paperwork right when you actually need it. And all of this is compounded by simply overlooking the fine print. One single misplaced file, or one tiny error, easily compounds into a massive, multi-layered headache. It's a true domino effect. And here's the stark warning, the ultimate result of letting those dominoes fall. Avoidable legal stress. The absolutely crucial word here is avoidable. The stress of legal problems arising from small documentation mistakes isn't some destined, unavoidable tragedy. It's the direct consequence of ignoring mundane details. This is kind of a punch to the gut because it reminds us that we actually hold the power to stop the stress before it even starts, just by being meticulous. Seriously, be honest with yourselves, and I know I'm guilty of this too sometimes. When was the last time you actually did more than just skim the fine print? We all know that universal feeling of dread when we blindly click, I have read and agreed to the terms and conditions, and just hope for the best. We cross our fingers and pray the universe is kind. But with Mercury in the sixth house, the universe is actively telling you that skimming is a gamble you are very likely to lose. Because, it's not just about the abstract fear of a massive lawsuit. Our source clearly notes, incorrect filing or missing paperwork may cause delays. This is about tangible, totally frustrating friction in your daily life. It's the stalled project, the delayed payout, or that stuck application process. Documentation errors don't just cause anxiety, they literally stop your life from moving forward at the exact pace it should. But okay, enough about the doom and gloom. Let's get proactive and move into theme 3, mitigating your Mercury risk. The source material doesn't just hand us a list of fears, it actually hands us the keys to protecting ourselves with an exact 2-step protection protocol. So the crucial point is how brilliant it is in its simplicity. Step 1, clarify terms early. Step 2, double-check documents. That's it. That is your shield. If you can master these 2 incredibly straightforward administrative habits, you effectively neutralize the major risks associated with this astrological placement. Let's look a little closer at step 1. The source promises us that clarifying terms early helps prevent future disputes. This is the ultimate power of preemptive action. By being, perhaps slightly annoying upfront, by asking that extra question, or by sending a quick summary email to confirm what was just discussed, you are literally stopping that very first domino from falling. You're cutting off the oxygen to any future dispute before it even has a chance to spark. There's a brilliant contrast here. The risk, legal confusion, brings this awful feeling of anxiety, a knot in your stomach, a real sense of losing control. But the cure, double-checking documents, brings ultimate peace of mind. This simple, mechanical act of proofreading, of checking the date or actually reading the fine print, is the exact cure to that overwhelming anxiety. It is entirely within your control. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to take away from this explainer. Are your documents truly airtight, or is Mercury waiting for you in the fine print? Don't let a missing comma or an assumed agreement dictate your peace of mind. Take the protocol, apply it to your daily routine, and stay vigilant out there. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating topic.